The world of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is massive and very beautiful, but sometimes you come across a location in the video game and you think to yourself,
wow, this place is odd and unusual.
well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to explore some odd and unusual places in the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Alrighty, roll the tape, baby. Alrighty, odd and unusual places in the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. We are currently in the fishing hole, right like to the side of Zora's domain and through the Zora's River. This is off to the side, and you can catch many fish here, including the Hylian loach. Our first odd and unusual place is this little alcove on the north side of the fishing hole. Now, you're probably wondering, boy, it looks like we're in water. How are we walking? That's exactly what I was wondering, because for some reason, the water is not see-through here. It's very reflective, which could mean that this water is not polluted whatsoever, which is very good. But if we go below the surface, we will see that there is, in fact, a floor. You can barely see it right there. But it's so odd that that's only like 2 feet deep and you can't see it. And it also just seems like there's nothing really over here, right? Like, this is not where you catch the empty bottle in the fishing hole, nor is this where you catch the Hylian loach. So this little like cave indent is just so odd. And it's carved out, right? I don't know if this is naturally occurring. It very well could be, although I don't know what would cause this to naturally occur. But if we roll out here and swim out a little bit, and we'll be able to turn around and take a look at this very odd place. Yes, it's just a very odd rock formation. You can see the top right there, and you can see the floor walking up to it. See, like, you can see all of this. So this might be natural. Oh god, I threw a bomb. I better get out of here. But this area just seems so weird. And the fact that you can walk on it when it's supposed to be a fishing hole is just very odd to me. I'm not sure why they made this walkable. You got a nice reflection of the moon right there, but folks, let's move on to the next odd and unusual place in Twilight Princess. Alrighty, folks, and our next odd and unusual place. Through the tunnel that is off to the side of Zora's domain, we have Snow Peak, the entrance to Snow Peak Mountain, which is way up there, folks. A very desolate area, but the odd and unusual place happens to be right down here on this frozen lake. In fact, you're only here once in the entire game, and that's specifically to follow the wolf scent to cross the frozen river. And as you can see, if you land in the frozen river, you die. So not something to play around with, folks. But this big area just seems so desolate and lifeless. Meanwhile, there's a settlement, a very populated settlement, 30 seconds through that hole in the rock. So this area just seems so odd. And where does that little creek lead to, right? Like, let's find out. Let's go explore together in this very odd place. I just love places in video games where you only go to once. Like, how do we get over there? And this is like a very, like, you can't get anywhere on this specific piece of ice. So let's see if we can go over there. Also, am I the first person in history to ever stand in this corner? I know I've never stood in that corner. I've never even walked over here, right? Because when you're in wolf form and you do the thing in the mission, you hit your senses and you follow the scent, right? Let's see if we can make our way over there. Can we make this jump? No, not a chance. This area is just very spooky and just really frightens me, and I don't feel well here. I feel very odd and unusual. It just gives that vibe. So before we get lost in the deep, cold weather of Snow Peak, let's move on to the next odd and unusual place. Alrighty, folks, and the next odd and unusual place, we are here at Ordon Ranch in the beginning area of the game, an area that you're only in twice. And your only goal here is to round up the goats and put them directly into the barn. And for some reason, the mailman is in here. Let's go talk to the mailman and see what he has to say. We can just let the goats eat a messy looking letter like this? Okay. So this barn and ranch, I don't know, I just feel weird. Because especially after the events of the game, we come back here and it's like revisiting a childhood home. And the animals certainly don't recognize me. Oh! Oh, goodness! Oh, God, I pressed the wrong button! I pressed the wrong button! What the hell's going on here? Oh, good Lord. Oh, God, I am so sorry, Go. I did not mean to do that. Oh, good God. Sorry about that. I gotta go talk to the owner here. Boy, that was my fault, sir. I greatly apologize. Joey C, I heard. Sounds like everyone's over in Kakariko. This guy we haven't seen in a long time. And he looks so sad. And it's because he has to hang around here. This very odd and unusual place. A place that's only used to train you to ride your horse. And speaking of, where does this guy live? Right? Like, he definitely doesn't live in here because the whole building is filled with animals. But we do have a well, and it looks like we have some grain and some wood and some barrels. Maybe he does live in the very back of the barn. No, it doesn't look like it. But even so, maybe he has like maybe there's like a basement or like a like an attic to this place. Nope, nothing. So I'm not sure where this guy lives. But this area just seems like a place lost to time. Because again, we're only here twice, and it's within the first couple hours of the game. You do it, it's like one of the first things you do in the game, and then you come back and do it after a couple of missions. This, I don't know, I just get a weird feeling here, especially after we've defeated Ganon and we've unlocked all of our items. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like we've outgrown this ranch. We've outgrown our old home. And most importantly, we've outgrown our old friends. Let's outgrow this area and go to the next odd and unusual place in Twilight Princess. What the fuck? What the hell happened, man? Alrighty, folks, our next odd and unusual place. We are here in Lake Hylia. Off to the side, underneath the waterfall, we are at this little dock. And its sole purpose in the game is when you come down that river, either in the boat minigame, or if you somehow jump in it and you float down, this dock is where your character lands. And it just seems odd because there's only one singular purpose. And then it has this, this archway thing, and I don't even know what the purpose of it is. Like, why is it here? Is this like an old dock? Because here's the thing. In this whole area right here, we have all this empty space. And Twilight Princess is known for its big empty spaces. It had a very big world for the time that it came out, but there's not a lot of stuff in the world to populate it to make it feel world-like. You know what I'm saying? So to have all this empty space and to have like an abandoned like boardwalk basically, or pier or dock, if you will, it makes me believe that this could have been an older settlement where they initially had maybe buildings here and maybe they got flooded out by the waters of Lake Hylia, because Lake Hylia's water levels have been known to fluctuate if you've ever played a Zelda game. So there could have potentially been buildings here that got washed away in the flood, and the only surviving structure is this weird like wood thing and the dock. Man, I don't know, it just seems so odd, unusual, and out of place. Like, why even make this little area? Right? Like, why put this grass here? You know? Am I the first person ever to stand in this corner? Potentially. This area is very odd and unusual. It's got a very nice view, though. Very nice view. Let's move on to the next odd and unusual place in Twilight Princess. The second to last location that we have to showcase today is this weird arena area. It's very odd because it overlooks Lake Hylia. The walls are broken down, which led me to believe that the wall was up high, so you couldn't really see Lake Hylia. And this was more or less a stage area or potentially like a military planning area. It could have been one of those two. Now it's just infested with monsters. The walls have been broken down. The seating area has been significantly broken down as well. Which leads me to believe that this hasn't been in use in potentially hundreds of years, because it's like this from the beginning of the game, so it couldn't have been because of the destruction of Ganon. So whether this is a military planning area or a place where musicals and plays were put on to, you know, educate and entertain the people of Hyrule, I'm not sure. Really, the only point or 2 points of this whole area is that statue that you can use the Dominion Rod on, and the treasure chest over here, which I don't even know what. It's either a piece of heart or a stamp if you're playing the HD version. But I don't know, man. I just feel so weird here. And it once again feels like a place lost to time. It was deliberately put here in an area surrounded by high rock, with potentially a high stone wall to protect it from attackies. Or attackers rather. I have no idea. Whatever this area is, it's long gone. It's very odd. Not sure why the people of Hyrule have not, you know, retaken the land or repurposed this area, because, you know, there's fallen rocks here and they're not moving. They are staying there. So it seems like the royal family of Hyrule has just let this place decay. And well, again, this is not because of Ganon. It is like this in the beginning of the game. So very odd and unusual. Let's travel on to our final location in odd and unusual places. And the final odd and unusual place today in Zelda Twilight Princess, we have this giant hole outside the gates of South Castletown. And this overlooks, or I don't even know if you would classify that as overlooks, but at the bottom of it, that's Zora's River that leads into Lake Hylia. Now, the only point of this entire hole, right, is because there's a treasure chest down here. And I'm not sure if it was just added just to give this area more depth, right? I'm not quite sure, but there is this cliff right here, at which, by the way, I never got the thing. Oh God, good Lord. Let's see what this is. I'm not quite sure what this is. It's a stamp. Wow, that's pretty nice. But as you can see, it overlooks. Actually, let me do this. There's Lake Hylia right there. We are right on top of the waterfall. Right at the bottom of the waterfall was that dock location that we were just at. But this area, like, it's not necessarily the river per se, right? Because the river's going to flow. It's just the fact that there's a giant hole. Oh, God. It's just the fact that there's a giant hole in the middle of Hyrule Field with hookshot, like, grapples on it. And I'm not quite sure why this is here. And there's vines growing. I mean, that's naturally occurring, but the fact that this hole exists at all, what could it possibly have made this hole? Right? Could it been like a bomb? Like, I know the Gorons have massive bombs that potentially could have, but that is like, you know, 300 feet worth of rock, right? Maybe it was a meteor. It has been known to meteor shower in Hyrule. That'd be a big meteor. Perhaps it was, it happened in the Great War of Hyrule. That's probably what happened, but the fact that this thing is here at all, it is just baffling. And actually, I've never actually stepped foot over here. So I've never actually looked over here. But there's Lake Hylia. Oh, whoa, that's crazy. So what happens if we jump down there? So we're going to say goodbye to this massive hole in the middle of Hyrule Castle. And goodbye to odd and unusual places in Twilight Princess by jumping off this very high cliff. It's probably going to spawn me down there. And folks, here we are, back at this odd and unusual place in Twilight Princess. My disc is dirty. BRB. Folks, thanks for watching this episode of Odd and Unusual Places in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. If you have any odd and unusual places in this game or any other game, let me know in the comments below. Join my Discord. Visit me over on patreon.com/officialjoeyc. Follow me on twitch.tv/officialjoeyc. And let me know what games you want to see me explore the odd and unusual places in, because I love this series. Exploring video games is what it's all about. Brings me right back to being a child playing video games. Thanks for watching, everybody. I greatly appreciate it. Keep your eye out for the next video, episode, movie, live stream. Cherish the precious moments. Be love and stay dude. Bye-bye.